Hello, everyone. I'm sorry I can't be in class today, but I so wish that I could be, especially given the subject matter and what Andy and I have taken on. You know, when I found out, when I was looking at the Nonviolent Peaceforce website, and I realized that David Hartzell was one of the founding members, I was really taken. Because I had been telling a story about David for so long that I didn't even know if it was true anymore. And then I went to this conference in San Francisco about othering. And I saw that this guy, David Hartzell, who I didn't know at that time, was on the schedule. And I went to his workshop and I spoke to him. And the story, I think, speaks to the true kind of commitment that it takes to do this kind of work. Because when David was 15, his father took him and his brother to the Martin Luther King freedom marches, and he got to meet Martin Luther King. And he was so taken by what he saw, by the bombings and the commitment and the danger people faced, that when he became college material 4 or 5 years later, as we are today and have been previously, he decided to go to Howard University, which, as many of you know, is an African-American university. At that time, it was only an African-American university, and he was one of the only white people at that university. And with his fellow students, they would go do the lunch counter sit-ins. And at some point in Virginia, they made it a $500 fine and a 6-month prison sentence to do the lunch counter sit-ins. And they had been doing a lot of sit-ins up until this time, and the police would always get called, and they would get arrested, and they would get taken off to jail. But they hadn't faced this $500 fine or 6-month prison sentence before. So they go down to, I think it was the People's Diner or something of that nature, and the police come, but the owner decides he doesn't want to have them arrested. He doesn't want the publicity. So for 2 days they're sitting there. They don't get served any food or any drinks, and people are spitting on them and dropping lit cigarettes down their shirts. Then they're kicking them and punching them, and the Nazi Party is there as well. And on the third day, a white guy comes in, and David hears him say, if you don't get up right now, I'm going to run you through the heart with this knife. And David, he's in one of those little spinning chairs, he turns around and he sees this guy holding a knife like within inches of his heart. He's thinking to himself, this wasn't in the story I read recently, but I remember having this conversation with David. He's thinking to himself, you know, I'm a white guy and I could walk out of here. How committed to this am I really? And he said he didn't know where the words came from, but he looked at this guy and he just said, you do whatever you have to do, friend. And I will try to continue loving you while you do it. And the guy's eyes teared up and his jaw dropped open, his hand started shaking, and he dropped the knife and turned around and ran out of the diner. And David said that that incident has informed everything that he has done for the 50-plus years from that point forward. And I really think that that speaks to the kind of commitment that it takes to do any kind of non-violent activist work in the world. You have to have the courage to face that kind of adversity. And I was really moved by that story.